It's Steve Summers' Overnight Drive, midnight Eastern, 11 p.m. Central, right here on TNCRadio.live. Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
TNCRadio.live, your commercial driver navigation station.
Welcome in TNC Radio.live. This is Taillights. I'm Tom Kelly. I'm here with Tom Kirk, and we've got our guest with us tonight, Larry and Angie Baum. I'm sorry, Lawrence and Angela Baum. It's very nice to have you with us this evening. How are you on this fine evening?
We are fantastic, sir. It's very nice to be here.
Yes, we've decided we're going to be extremely informal this evening, and
that's about all I can do.
Yeah, I'm over it too. Hey, y'all, great to have you with us, and we've got plenty to talk about. Lots going on, and y'all have had a few interesting experiences since last we talked. You know, one of the great things about doing Taillights and hearing some of these stories is the stories don't stop just because the show does that night. So we get new stories all the time, and I think y'all have a little something to talk to us about. We were just talking about the tractor trailer broken down in a major lane right in the middle of rush hour traffic in a busy section of Atlanta, Georgia. But now you're going to tell us about your little fun that you've had here since last time we talked. What happened to y'all?
I think it actually was the day after our last appearance of your show. We were driving to Wyoming, and we had just put in the fuel additive in our truck because we knew we were going to be hitting some cold weather. And
I'm sorry, Angie, you're a little bit faint. We can't quite hear you.
Oh. Am I any better now?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it was right after we had been on the show with you, and we were heading to Wyoming, and we had just put in some fuel additive because we knew that we were going to be hitting some real cold temperatures. And Larry and I had just switched, and I had just started driving, I don't know, maybe 10 miles down the road, and the truck started acting real funny, and all of a sudden, I had no acceleration whatsoever. So we pulled off onto the side of the shoulder, and, Larry got out, took a look at everything. All of our fluids were fine. Well, then the truck just completely shut off. Now, mind you, it was, -3 out?
It was -3 with a real feel of -23.
Yeah. And it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, and we'd already seen like 4 or 5 trucks off on the side of the road already broken down. So we're like, oh no. So we wound up calling, and all the tow trucks within the surrounding, like a 2-hour radius of us, were like, oh, we're not going to be able to get to you until tonight at the absolute earliest. So we wound up having to sit on the side of Highway 80 for, about 9 hours?
At least 9 hours. Well, we had heat.
Well, we had minor heat.
We had the little bunk heater going, but the engine wouldn't start. Thank God we had the APU.
Yeah, the APU just, for whatever reason, wasn't like...
But it was just so cold outside and so windy that every crack, every gap in the truck, you could feel the cold air coming in. Matter of fact, I had ice on the armrest in the front window.
No.
So thank God we bundled up. We always overpack.
Yeah.
I'm at the philosophy it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Yep.
So we have 6 blankets on the truck, at least 10 pullovers. So we bundled up, and our dogs, they hate being under the covers. Literally, I mean, you cover them up and they will fight to get out. They were begging to get under the covers.
Wow.
It was so cold in there.
So help me understand, what's this they can't get to you for 12 hours or whatever? Why?
Because there was so many trucks with their fuel gelling up. There was trucks. In about an hour on the 80 after we got into Iowa, we must have saw at least 10 trucks pulled over.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
It was just so cold. The fuel was gelling up, and it would plug up the fuel filter.
Yeah, and then once we finally did get towed, we got towed to the tow yard, and they couldn't get the part that we needed until the next morning. And because that's one of the things I think people don't understand with trucking, you know, a lot of times if your truck breaks down, well, then your company puts you up in a hotel until they get the truck fixed. Well, the load that we were on was a military high priority load that we could not leave our trailer. So we had to sit in the lot of the truck shop the whole night with minimal heat until they could get to us the next morning to repair our truck because it was a secure load. And so a lot of times I think people don't understand that. My parents are like, well, go to a hotel and get warm. I'm like, we don't have that option.
If we didn't have a load that was a secured load, we could have did that.
Yes.
But since one of us had to be with the freight, I told Angie to go get a hotel, but she wouldn't do
it. Yeah. Well, that's nice of her.
But we survived.
Wow.
We survived that ordeal, but it was cold. We closed the curtain that divides the front and the back.
Right.
So the back stayed a little warmer.
Right.
And then if I needed to go up front for anything, it was at least 20 degrees, if not 30 degrees colder up front than it was in back.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
So with the lower power there, were you able to cook and that kind of stuff, or no?
No, we couldn't use anything. We had to unplug everything. We unplugged every utility we had, turned off all the lights to save our battery, because the APU was working hard to keep the battery charged in that cold.
Right. Oh my gosh!
Otherwise, the truck wouldn't start after they changed the fuel filter.
Yeah.
So I mean, did you have enough battery juice? And so what do you travel with? Do you travel as far as, do you have a tablet or to watch movies or anything?
So we have a TV. All the appliances we have on our truck, we have a TV.
Right.
We have a microwave, which is a gallons. It's a 3-in-1.
Uh-huh.
It's an oven, air fryer, and microwave. And we have a Instapot. We have Keurig.
Understand, but I'm asking, you didn't have like a tablet where you could just like, okay, well, this is charged up. At least it'll keep us entertained for the next 8 hours.
Yes, we did.
Okay,
yes,
good.
We used our tablet.
Okay,
absolutely.
Good, because otherwise, that had been just mind-numbing. Now you're not only cold in your body, you're cold in your brain too, because there's nothing to do.
Yeah. We pretty much just bundled up under the covers and cuddled, all 4 of us, and waited till 8 o'clock in the morning when they knocked on our door.
Wow. Wow.
And it was hard to sleep.
Now, so one more question on all that. So you've got a secured load. Does it present issues with who can tow you?
No, as long as we are with the load.
Okay.
We jumped in the tow truck, and we were still within the boundaries of our parameters that we have to stay.
I didn't know though if it was like, okay, well, you can't just be towed by anybody and be towed to anywhere. You have to follow these certain restrictions and all that kind of stuff.
Well, FedEx gave us the okay, so I guess it was okay.
Yeah. The biggest thing was that we had left like the truck and trailer in a yard. Like overnight, if we'd stayed at a hotel, it would have had to have been a secured lot with an armed security guard.
Gotcha.
And that was obviously not available, so we're the only other option.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that
was the first time that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
17 years out here, I've never had that happen.
I've had it happen to me once, but it was within my first 4 or 5 years of driving. But it wasn't a secure load like that. But yeah, it was a similar experience. But I have a question for you and Angie. Have you seen at some of the truck stops this year? I think it's Tough Test that has these battery packs like you can charge your phone with, but it doubles as a hand warmer.
No, I have not.
Yes.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, James has that.
Oh, well, we need that.
That's the one that he had at the rally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
those are pretty cool. He had one.
So that
it worked really
that's
good.
One of those have it and not need it, then need it and not have it things. So yeah, you got to get one of those.
Absolutely.
Yep. And we do have a heating pad, but I was afraid to use it because it would drain some more battery.
Right.
And it's just a small little heating pad.
Sure.
Probably wouldn't have did much.
Yeah, but if it gets cold enough, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was thinking about using it, but I didn't know if the batteries, it would drain the batteries, and then we'd have nothing.
Right.
Then we wouldn't even have the bunk heater anymore.
Right. Wow. All right. Well, hey, we're going to take a little break, step out here for just a few minutes. When we come back, got some more questions for you, and want to talk. You mentioned the dogs, so we want to talk more about traveling with the animals and
With our road dog.
Yeah. We'll be back in just a few minutes right here on TNCRadio.live. Stay tuned.
This blog on TNCRadio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. 5 easy steps to help truckers stay awake while driving. Driving 11 hours a day, 7 days a week can be emotionally and physically exhausting. Sleep's a very important part of a long-haul truck driver's life. Being well rested and alert makes driving a lot more safe for both the trucker and other drivers on the road. Getting enough sleep may sound easier than it seems. Living on the road makes it difficult to get the recommended 8 hours of sleep. In fact, it's common for truckers to not get 8 hours of sleep due to the 11-hour work shift. To help, we've put together 5 tips to help truckers stay awake while driving. Take vitamins. One way truckers can stay awake while driving is by taking vitamins. Not only are vitamins good energy boosters, they have tons of other health benefits too. Vitamin B helps with fatigue, depression, mood boosting, and muscle weakness. Consider adding vitamins to your morning routine. Eat healthy. An unhealthy diet has a huge impact on one's overall health. Jennifer Sachek, PhD now, says, our bodies rely on the energy and nutrients we get from food. So what you eat, and how and when you eat it, can either drain you or sustain you. It might be more convenient to stop at a fast food restaurant or truck stop, but constantly eating junk food drains your energy. Check out our blog on quick and healthy meals for truckers for healthy food ideas. Take a nap. Before you hit the road, consider taking a short 20-minute nap. Several studies have shown that a quick nap immediately increases alertness and gives a boost in cognitive performance. Stay hydrated. Water has many health benefits. One benefit is reducing the chance of being fatigued. Drinking a pint of cold water is a great way to refresh yourself and stay more alert. Listen to upbeat music. Listening to upbeat music will have you tapping your foot, singing along, and staying alert in no time. Avoid listening to relaxing music or audiobooks. These tend to make drivers more relaxed and sleepy. Truckers have a very demanding job. In order to deal with the stress and demand, it's very important to get the right amount of sleep. Hopefully, these 5 tips will help truckers stay awake while driving. This blog has been brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
Hear the best of TNCRadio.live every night. It's TNC Radio Primetime. Interviews, music, information, and news you can use every night. 7 to 9 Eastern, 6 to 8 Central, TNC Radio Primetime.
It's Landline Now, followed by Steve Summers' Overnight Drive every night on TNCRadio.live starting at 11 p.m. Eastern and 10 p.m. Central.
I'm out again.
Welcome back in TNC Radio.live. This is the Taillights program. I'm Tom Kelly along with Tom Kirk. We've got Larry and Angie with us. They're a couple that drives together, and they've been driving together here for, 5-6 years? Is that what you said, Angie?
Yes.
Yeah. And so between them, they have quite a few great stories based out of the wonderful city of St. Louis, Missouri. And
Yes.
now, I've never asked you this even off the air. What part of St. Louis are y'all from?
We're actually on the Illinois side. We're about 20 minutes from downtown St. Louis.
Okay. So, and Angie, your voice has dropped back out again. You sounded okay
I'm
during
so
the
sorry.
break. But, yeah, so you're on the Illinois side, about 20 minutes outside of St. Louis. I'm a West County boy. I'm born and raised in Baldwin.
That's where my sister lives, is in Baldwin.
Baldwin, no D.
Oh, Baldwin, yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's the
Baldwin,
only
sorry.
city in America called Baldwin. There's lots of Baldwins, but only one Baldwin. So,
Yep.
it's a great place to have been from. So y'all travel with a couple of dogs, is that right? Tell us about the animals you're traveling with.
Yeah, we have 2 dogs, Gizmo and Bandit, and they're called Sheepoms. They're Shih Tzu Pomeranians, and they're quite funny. The one, Gizmo, he's the oldest. He's 3, and they were only supposed to be about 9 pounds, and for whatever reason, he's 20. He's huge. But every time I take him in, the vet's like, but he's all muscle. He's not fat. So, but
And he's so strong.
yes, he's
Rips my arm out of the socket. He's a puller.
Wow.
And his brother from the same parents is 9 pounds. And the
Wow.
parents were 9 pounds and 7 pounds.
Goodness.
I don't know how he got 20 pounds.
Yeah, wow.
Okay.
That's amazing. So you must be feeding him right, huh?
Yeah.
yes.
So having these dogs with you, I'm sure that's led to a couple of interesting experiences from time to time. Tell me about them. First of all, tell me about their personalities. Are they happy dogs? Are they yippers? Are they, what are they like?
They are lovers.
They are lovers, yeah. Neither one of them are very loud. Really, the only time, the big one is Gizmo. He's the funny one. And the only time he really barks is if he sees another dog in another truck. And it's just him being, like, protecting the truck. But the funniest thing, I think, is every time we go to take a shower, it never fails that Gizmo and Bandit get up onto the driver's seat, and Gizmo somehow figures out how to honk the horn. So he'll be, like, honking the horn at us, like, come back, come back. And then one time we went and took a shower, and this gentleman said that he had been sleeping in the truck next to us, and he kept hearing our horn going off, so he thought we were like, something was wrong, like an emergency was happening. So he came up and he said it was Gizmo. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He's like, no, he said it was comical. I just sat there and watched him.
Well, and the thing is, with the truck that I have now, all Gizmo would practically have to do is breathe on the horn, and it honks itself.
Yeah, that's what ours is. The air horn is on the steering wheel.
Yep.
It's a very, very light touch.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I had a mechanic working on our truck one day, and he kept honking the horn. We all saved everything. He goes, "It's sensitive."
They've locked us out of the truck before too. So
Wow.
Oh, that's the worst.
That's
yeah,
not
we
good.
take our spare key with us every time we get out of the truck, even the fuel.
Yep.
I clip it right on my collar.
Yep.
Well, actually, that does lead to a question I wanted to ask you. So, you see all these signs that say, like, no pets in the building, things like that. So, Angie, how do you manage to get Larry into the building?
It's hard sometimes, especially if we go to, like, a nuclear power plant. They're like, you need to leave him outside.
She usually puts me in her backpack.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
She sneaks me in. Except it's hard getting some food, especially when it says don't feed the animals.
You don't feed the animals, yeah.
Well, it's got to be a pleasure, though, to have. I mean, they can be a source of entertainment, and probably at times is a bit of a pain. There are probably moments where you're like, oh, man, if we didn't have the dogs.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there's times, like, when we have a 34 down, it's like, it'd be so nice to get a hotel room, and it's harder to get a hotel room where, A, you need truck parking, and B, now you need a pet-friendly hotel. So sometimes it's like, it'd be so nice not to have the dogs out on those particular points, because then you could just pretty much get any hotel that you could get a semi into. So those are the tricky times.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some times where we like to stay at a little high-end hotel where we could park our truck and Uber to there.
Right.
But no pets allowed at the high ends.
Yeah.
If they hear them.
That's
Yes.
true, yeah.
Not that you would,
Exactly.
not that you would ever sneak a dog in to a high-end hotel. I would never endorse such a thing.
No, we would never do something like that.
Right.
It's funny, though, with our dogs, there's been many, many, many a times where we pulled up to a truck stop. Because they're tiny little dogs, and they got fluffy little bushy tails. And I cannot tell you how many times we pulled up to a truck stop, and you could tell a trucker is just having the worst possible day. and he looks gruff and he looks mean, and then he gets out of his truck and then he sees our dogs and they're, jumping all over him. And he, instantly they turn into bush. I can't tell you how many times I've happened in the last 6 years.
Sure.
Like, I love your dogs.
And they do the same thing to me. If I'm having a stressful day, I'll just come in the truck, I'll sit down, and Gizmo will come up to me, and I'll just pet him, and I'll feel so much more better.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that I often do is, like, when you're outside walking through the truck stop, you know how dogs will often start barking at you, and particularly if they're on a leash in a little ways, I'll just stop and look at the dog, and I'll start barking back, and the owner starts kind of giving me this odd look. He goes, "What? Your dog said hello. I'm having a conversation."
I do that a lot, too.
I can totally see you doing that.
And then I'll look and say, "By the way, he says you don't give him enough treats." So usually that might be. Other times they come up and the dog will come up, start sniffing and petting me. The dog starts petting me. But yeah, like you said, it's having dogs, particularly when there's somebody else's. It's a lot of fun to play with at the truck stop because you can spoil them and hand them back. Here you go.
Exactly.
Kind of like grandchildren.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly like grandchildren.
Exactly.
But, they do say these days that, and there's real research numbers behind it, that having a dog lowers a person's blood pressure, increases their cardiovascular, and reduces their overall stress.
I can definitely attest to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have to stop every 4 to 5 hours, to make sure that they can get out and walk around. And then we try to stop at least once a day to let them play in a dog park so they can actually get a lot of playing. But yeah, I mean, it's good for us because it forces us to get up and walk, and that way we don't have to worry so much about blood clots. And there's those days where you're stuck in a traffic jam and traffic is just awful. It's like they can sense the tension in you, and then they'll come up and just put their little paws on your knees, and you immediately start to relax. It's like, okay, I feel better now.
Yeah, they could sense when we're stressed out, and they'll come up to us.
Yeah, my dog will come see me a few times a day, and obviously at times he's checking on me. It doesn't need anything. He's been outside, been in, all that kind of stuff. He just wants to come and say hello and kind of, check me and all that. And he tends to do that more when I'm a little bit stressed out. So that it's going, "Hey, Dad, just saying hey."
They're smart.
Yeah, they can be a lot of fun. They're good to have around for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be out here without them.
No.
Well, that was my next question. So, do the pluses outweigh the minuses? I guess you've
by far.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's something to talk about when there's nothing else to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And go ahead.
What I was going to say is one of the things that I always find fun as a driver, even though for a few reasons I haven't had dogs on the truck, but I've had friends who do. And, a lot of times I live vicariously with having pets by listening to their stories. Whether it's the dog that steals peanut butter, unscrews the jar and, eats a 2-pound jar of peanut butter, takes it to her dad and goes, "Hey, Dad, it's empty, fill it." Or whatever the story may be. You're just sitting there laughing because it puts a smile on your face. Yeah, you're not there, but it's so like I said, I have a whole bunch of dogs that I spoil, but they're all various friends, and at the end of the day of spoiling them, I give them back, and they just kind of look at me and go, "I hate you," and then I get in my truck and drive away. So it works out great for me, not so much for them.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Check in with Dr. Christopher Cortman. You can hear Dr. Cortman Monday nights right here on TNCRadio.live, 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern. Had a great discussion last night about the importance of forgiveness. Not always easy, but always important. We're going to continue that discussion this coming Monday. That's Dr. Christopher Cortman with Building Strong Minds right here on TNCRadio.live. Stick with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
I'm Dr. Christopher Cortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. Let's talk about anxiety. Did you know that anxiety is now considered to be the common cold of all mental illness? Yeah, as a matter of fact, 18% of our population is deemed to have an anxiety disorder. And I think the other 82% are lying about it. But is anxiety a mental illness? Is it a disorder? I mean, isn't it normal to be anxious? How do you know when you have an anxiety disorder versus normal anxiety? Well, there are 3 ways we can measure that: frequency, intensity, and duration of your anxiety. In other words, how often are you anxious? How much of the day do you spend nervous, worried, edgy? And how intense is your anxiety? I mean, does it interfere with your life? Do you have panic attacks? Does it stop you from dealing with other people and situations? And then the duration. How long does it last when you are anxious? If you find that any of those 3 or all 3 of those things are significant, it might be time to get some professional help. But where does anxiety come from? Not from situations, not from other people or circumstances in your life. Anxiety comes from the perception of threat. In fact, investment plus perceived threat is the formula for anxiety. In other words, you have to care about something, and you have to perceive that that something is threatened in order to create anxiety. So if you are anxious, what do we do with that? Let me give you 4 things that will work right away if you're dealing with anxiety. First, daily exercise. The research says if you exercise daily, you will decrease your anxiety. Secondly, learn to breathe properly. Even in short-term anxiety-inducing situations, inhaling to the count of 3 and exhaling to the count of 5 will reduce your anxiety significantly. Thirdly, take that formula that I gave you and figure out, am I too invested in something that doesn't really mean that much? Can I see this in a less threatening manner? Because if I can think differently, it will also reduce my anxiety. And finally, and this begins with young people all the way to the end of life, face the things that you're afraid of. By facing the things that scare you and championing those things, you will reduce your anxiety and become a more confident person.
Be sure to listen to Building Strong Minds with Dr. Chris, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, right here on tncradio.live.
This is Alec Debogorski. Catch our new show, Taillights, Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Central on tncradio.live.
Hey, rideshare drivers, for the best in Uber, Lyft, and gig economy news, along with interviews, insights, stories from the road, and much more, tune into tncradio.live weekdays, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, and find out more at www.uberliftdrivers.com. That's www.uberliftdrivers.com. Welcome back in tncradio.live. This is Taillights. I'm Tom Kelly along with Tom Kirk. We've got Larry and Angie Baum with us tonight and talking about some of their experiences and stories from life out on the road. Just the 2 of them and their 2 dogs. Been shooting across, back and forth across America. Now, have you all kept up and know how many miles the 2 of you have covered together over the course of the last 6 years?
No, that would be a good one to figure out.
Yeah, that would be good.
Given that you're both driving and that you keep the truck moving most of the time, you got to think you're in the million-mile area, right?
We're pretty close to it. Because I'm pretty sure we
say 800 to 1 million mile. Would that sound about right to you? Larry? Because usually it takes about 8 years for a solo driver.
Yeah. We're probably really close to 1 million miles.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, somewhere in that 1 million mile area. That's quite a bit of time to spend together.
Yes.
So in that time, I'm sure that you've had your moments.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. So let's see. We got a couple of different paths that we can go here. I guess I want to hear about Kansas City.
So this was, I guess we were within our first 2 years out on the road together. And it was, I think we mentioned this before, that the first 2 years were the hardest for us, just trying to learn how to live together 7 days a week and get along. And so we were at Kansas City FedEx Yard, and it was late at night. I think it was 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And we'd gotten into a fight. I don't even remember what it was about. But I had gotten out of the truck right before we left to go in and go to the bathroom. And I thought he saw me get out of the truck because I made eye contact with him. And so we get out and I go inside and I come out 10 minutes later and the truck is gone. And I'm like, where'd it go? I'm like, oh my gosh, he got so mad at me, he left me. And so I'm walking around the yard and it's really, really cold. He's not there. It's like every other FedEx truck in the world, but he's not there. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, I know we got into a fight and I know I walked inside to go to the bathroom. I can't believe he left me in Kansas City. So I'll let Larry finish that one for you.
Yeah, so
you got some explaining to do, sir.
Yeah. I pulled up to the office, went in, did my paperwork, went into the truck, and she was in the back and we were still doing our little arguing. And then I went to do my pre-trip, checked my lights and the tires, and walked around the truck, hopped back in, and took off. And we were texting. She texted me, I don't want to talk to you anymore, or I'm really pissed off at you. And I'm like, well, I'm pissed off at you. And so we've done that before where we'd argue, and she would be in the back, I'd be driving. And no, not texting, voice.
Not texting. Yeah, of course, right.
So we did that, and then it's 45 minutes down the road. Well, I'd say about a half hour down the road. She texted me, I'm going to tell our boss that you left me in Kansas City. I'm like, why you want to lie to him like that? And she goes, I'm not lying. You left me in Kansas City. I turned around, ripped open the curtain, saw she was not there. My heart dropped. Oh, my God. Got off on the next exit, came back, texted her back. I'm on my way back. I'm so sorry, dude. Don't bother coming back. I already got a ride home.
Oh, my gosh.
So I still went back to Kansas City, pulled up to the office, and there she was. And then it was hard to get her back into the truck because she was so mad at me for leaving her.
The moment you pulled away out of that parking lot, you lost the fight. Whatever the fight was about.
Oh, absolutely. It was nothing but apologies after that.
Yeah. You lost the fight. You lost the next 5 fights automatically.
I was definitely nice, extra nice for the first couple months after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
but then I went back to my normal self.
Right.
So Angie, I do have to ask, so does this mean you now stick a pillow or a set of shoes or a thumbtack on the seat so that if you get out of the truck and Larry's off doing something else, when he comes back in and sees it or sits on the thumbtack, he realizes maybe I should check to see if she's in the back?
Oh, yes. Right after that happened, that's when he explained to me. He's like, from now on, he goes, if you get out of the truck, he's like, you need to leave something on the seat so at least I know that you're not in the truck anymore. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know that.
And from that point on, I always look in the back. I go, are you ready for me to take off?
Yeah. Double checking all around now. Doesn't matter how mad we are, we're going to have to double check.
Yeah.
So I added that to my pre-trip. Opening up the curtains and looking in the back as part of my pre-trip.
Yep.
That's good.
Well,
That actually happened to a friend of ours the very next week, but his was even funnier because he stopped at a truck stop and his partner had gotten out and went to the bathroom and didn't, leave anything on the seat to let Dave know that he was going in there. So he gets back in his truck and he's driving down the road. Next thing you know, a police officer pulls him over and said, did you possibly leave something back at the truck stop? And he's like, no, I don't think so. And he's like, maybe your partner?
That's great.
I can imagine having a police officer pulling me over.
Well, the nice thing is that after all this time of driving together, you could tell stories about each other, but you don't. You keep it on. Like if Larry was to make, say, a bad decision and get the truck stuck or something like that, you would never tell us that story, would you, Angie?
Oh, it was so funny. This actually happened yesterday.
Oh, she would. Okay.
Yeah. It was funny because he wasn't going to say anything to anybody about it. And then later on the day, I don't know, he got brought up. And so then everybody found out. But we were at a military base yesterday. And so of course, all these military men are out there waiting for us. And it had rained for days here. And so he was backing up. And when he backs up, I try to keep my mouth quiet because he's got so much more experience than I do. And I saw that he was starting, the passenger side front wheel was going to be going into the mud. And I was like, well, okay, he knows what he's doing. And I was like, I'm not going to say nothing. And so he's looking out both mirrors and all of a sudden he got the truck stuck in about 12 inches of mud.
I felt that whole front right quarter just drop instantly. It's like I was going nowhere. That was tough.
My gosh.
So they grabbed one of their guys' F-150 and hooked up chains to my deer guard and just pulled me out and not backed up and everything was good to go. No damage anywhere except for a big hole in the grass.
Oh my gosh. Wow. And the guy's F-150 though was able to get you out of there, huh?
Yeah, I still had all my drives on the asphalt and just wouldn't get enough to get it out of that hole. So between him pulling me and me driving, it got it out. It actually got it out pretty easy.
Well,
I was shocked how easy it was.
They're built Ford tough.
They are built Ford tough.
Yeah. It was pretty impressive.
You can Ford can send the sponsorship ticket to tncradio.live, where we're happy to proudly sponsor Ford if they'll give us enough money to mention that every so often.
Ford's first on race day.
Yes.
So
favorite of radio DJs.
Yeah, I asked him if they'd go get a tank to pull me out.
That'd have been interesting.
I'm guessing they said no.
They said no.
Yeah, of course, with your luck, they would have accidentally fired it off, and then you have a whole different.
And if they did brought a tank over there, I'd ask, "Hey, can I drive the tank?"
No.
They would actually say no, and I'm surprised they even pulled me out because I was wearing my Army hat.
Ooh. Yeah, it was an Air Force base.
Yeah, all right. Well, hey, that's a great place for us to take another break. We're going to step out for a couple of minutes. We'll be right back. You're listening to Taillights on tncradio.live. I'm Tom Kelly. He's Tom Kirk. And we're here with Angie and Larry Baum. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Stay right there.
As a professional driver, the engineers at Front Lane know that you remain focused on the road regardless of weather and traffic conditions. That's not always true of the drivers behind you. Every 9 minutes, another commercial vehicle is rear-ended by a driver failing to control their speed. And guess who gets the blame? When you have to brake quickly, Tailbone illuminates a series of bright LED lights that allow the driver behind you to react up to 50% faster. Using amazing accelerometer technology and a battery that will last for years, Tailbone meets the standards set by the NHTSA and the FMCSA. Learn more by visiting www.frontlane.com/tailbone. That's www.frontlane.com/tailbone. Approved in all 50 states. It's Tailbone by Frontlane.
This blog on tncradio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. 5 best scenic drives for truck drivers. One of the many benefits of being a truck driver is traveling the beautiful United States. Truck drivers spend their life on the road. Although they may get tired of driving, there's still routes and attractions most look forward to seeing. Whether it be cruising down the coast of California, driving in the Smoky Mountains, or passing through the Arizona desert, truck drivers all have their personal favorites. Here are the 5 most beautiful scenic drives rated by truck drivers. Pacific Coast Highway. The Pacific Coast in California, also called Highway 1, is one of the most iconic scenic drives in the United States. Driving along the Pacific Coast reminds you of a movie or TV show. It's about 650 miles long and runs from Capistrano Beach in Orange County to Leggett in northern Mendocino. San Juan Skyway. San Juan Skyway, a scenic byway in Colorado, is known for its million-dollar views. The byway goes across the San Juan National Forest and has provided truckers with beautiful views of the mountains and landscape. Beartooth Highway. Beartooth Highway in Montana is a 68-mile byway that runs through southwest Montana and northwest Wyoming and goes into Yellowstone National Park. Along this drive, you'll see one of the most diverse ecosystems accessible by vehicle in the United States. Keep in mind that the scenic highway closes in the winter due to adverse winter conditions and typically opens up on Memorial Day weekend. I-64 in West Virginia. West Virginia has some of the most beautiful landscapes on the East Coast. Driving down I-64 in West Virginia feels like you're in a painting. If you have time to stop along your truck route, check out Tamarack, located just off I-64 in Beckley, West Virginia. Tamarack is a unique culture center with art from local artisans and delicious food. If you want the full Appalachian experience, check out Tamarack. Utah's Route 12. Utah's Route 12 is one of the most scenic routes in the United States. It's often called the All-American Road. Also, there are 2 national parks at each end of the road, Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef, and many other unique scenic views. This info blog was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
For the latest in Houston traffic, weather, news, and information, don't miss The Evening Surge on tncradio.live. What do you know about trains? Whether you're an expert or just want to learn something about the world of the railroad, join Bill and Jim Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central on tncradio.live.
Welcome back in tncradio.live. This is Taillights. Happy to have you with us this afternoon. And we got Larry and Angie Baum with us. I'm Tom Kelly along with Tom Kirk, talking about their stories of spending the last 1,000,000 miles together or so, somewhere around that. Y'all need to figure that out. See if you can officially state that you've done 1,000,000 miles together, because that's a thing.
It is a thing, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be worth celebrating. I mean, we're always looking for a good excuse to have a party, right? So why not have the Larry and Angie 1,000,000-mile party?
I'm going to definitely figure out how many miles we have gone.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, I'll bet you it's close. You got to be close. And if not yet, well, then we'll figure out about when that will happen, and we'll have to have the party then.
Absolutely.
If we're over, party on time.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll make it happen. So very happy to have you all with us tonight, talking about all sorts of different things that you've had going on. Let's see, where were we going next? We got to talking about Scott Air Force Base during the break, and now I forgot everything else we talked about.
Oh, we went to the convoy this weekend.
The convoy, yeah. So tell us about that.
That was neat. We actually, our load got canceled last weekend, which was a fluke. And we just happened to be pretty close to where the People's Convoy was going to be at. They were in Lower City, Ohio. So we actually pulled in about 2 hours before they did. So we got a pretty good spot there. And it was amazing. I think that particular night, what surprised us the most was how many of the locals came out, and they were going truck to truck to truck. And because it was so cold that night that we spent a lot of the night inside of our truck, and they were bringing us letters and gifts and snacks and gift cards, and just we had so many children coming up to us with like handwritten cards of thank you truckers for supplying America.
So,
one little girl gave me a card and said, thank you for being a female trucker. I wanted to be one.
So who are these people? Where they come? Are you talking they're just people who live there locally?
Yeah, they were all locals. And what they had done, a lot of them said they knew we were coming because it was scheduled to be at the Speedway there. And so they knew we were coming. And so there was actually stands of food set up where people had brought food. I mean, they had chili and hot dogs and just homemade food, homemade cookies, so that when we got in there, we had dinner that night. And then they just go from truck to truck, just bringing us, cards and telling us thank you for being out there. And it was just amazing, the support that we felt. And we were shocked. We had no clue that, they were going to do that. It was amazing.
There was so much love there. It was just incredible. Nothing but love.
That's amazing. It really is. And these are, and
it reminded me of the modern day Woodstock. Just nothing but love.
Does that mean everybody walked around naked and rolled around in the mud?
It was too cold for that, but I'm sure there was a lot of love there.
Okay.
We said everybody was high on diesel fuels. Because at nighttime they had an area both because we followed them the next day to Hagerstown, and we spent a few days in Hagerstown, and every night they would have this thing where they would have the bobtails kind of like in a circle or in an area, and they would have all the lights on and they'd rev up their engines, so the locals that would come out could see them revving up their engines, and of course it got the kids all excited. But I think the coolest thing, and I'll let Larry tell it, was the flag ceremony where they had veterans hold a flag, and it was really cool.
That was amazing. Yeah, they rolled out at least an 80 by 60 foot flag, and they had all the veterans that came around and grabbed a handle, and then everybody else filled in to keep it off the ground, and we all stretched it out, and hundreds of people underneath the flag put their flashlights on their camera and held it up to the flag so the drones can see the flag illuminating from underneath. And the pictures that we got off those drones are incredible. But my favorite experience is when we left Ohio to go to Hagerstown. It was at least an 8-hour drive. Normally it would probably be a 6-hour drive, but since it was a convoy, it took us about 8 hours.
Yeah.
Every single overpass was packed with people holding flags, celebrating. Just every time I'd go underneath there, I'd honk. Everybody would just be yelling and screaming. It was incredible. And then between the overpasses, you see off on the side, just people off the side in the fields, sitting in chairs, waiting for us to come by, honk the horn. They jump out of their seat and start cheering and yelling, and it was just so incredible. It was the best experience of my trucking days I have ever had.
It's easy to kind of come to the conclusion that everybody hates truckers. I don't like stupid truckers. And to kind of think nobody respects you out there and all that kind of stuff, that has to restore your faith.
Yeah, I think that's what shocked us the most, because we do feel that. I would say personally, I think we feel that 90% of the time that people kind of look their nose down at us. I mean, even I've had friends when I tell them I'm a truck driver, which to me I'm super proud of. A lot of times people kind of look down on us. So it was nice feeling appreciated.
Well, clearly, I mean, and they didn't have to do that. And it wasn't like it was 75 degrees and sunshiny and all that kind of stuff. Standing out there on an overpass for a while, not fun.
No, and we had several of them that actually were on the overpasses that contacted us afterwards and said that they stood on those overpasses for 3 to 4 hours at a time. And that particular day, it was like 35 and extremely windy. So we couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I don't stand outside at 35 degrees for anybody.
From Ohio to Hagerstown, there was at least 10,000 people on that convoy path. At least 10,000 hanging out there.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible. I think the best one we saw was right before we pulled into the speedway. There was a little girl on her front porch. I would say she was 14 or 15 years old, and she was out there with her mom, and she was in a wheelchair. And when Larry came by and he started honking her horn, she literally tried to jump out of her wheelchair. It was the sweetest thing I'd ever seen.
Wow, that is cool. And the food too. That's. The whole thing just had to be really refreshing. Do you feel different this week than, say, 2 weeks ago after going through something like that? Does it just make you feel different about the whole experience?
Absolutely. I feel there are more people out there that love and respect truckers than don't.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's true. The problem is those who don't are louder. And, what do they say? Haters hate.
Yes.
And so they're going to get out there and do their hate thing. And what can you do? It is what it is.
Absolutely. You're not going to change everybody's opinions, but I think that's why we do what we do. It's like we could kind of show the human side to trucking, that we're not all nasty and, foul mouthed out here. It's kind of nice to show the human side to it.
That was another thing. When we were in Ohio, the yard that we were at, we walked around, no trash anywhere. And there was just a few trash cans. So everybody brought their trash to the trash cans, and trash cans were overfilled.
Yeah.
But they put their trash around the trash cans in a nice, orderly manner.
Right. Wow. That's great. I think it's wonderful that people did that and showed that kind of gratitude, that kind of respect. That's good stuff. That is really good stuff.
The whole reason that this convoy is going on is about the mandates. That's all it really is, and that's for everybody out there: teachers, lawyers, doctors, nurses, anybody that is forced to get the shot, and they will be fired if they don't. That's the only reason we were doing this, is for the mandates. We're against the mandates.
Understood. Hey, look, we've got less than a minute and a half left. Real briefly, how can people track you all more and hear more about what you guys do? Tell us about how people can tie in with Larry and Angie Baum.
You guys can follow us on either TikTok or Facebook. You can follow us as Married to the Road. We do a lot of live streaming in there and show our dogs a lot. And then also Treat a Trucker. That's our other one where we go out and treat truckers with gift cards just to say thank you for being out there.
Well, thank you for being out there. We really appreciate all the effort that y'all put in. We love one of the websites that y'all work with the safety.
Trucker Safety Info, yes.
Trucker Safety Info. That's always very helpful. We often refer to that during our broadcast. So we appreciate that.
Angie spends at least an hour doing that every single morning.
Well, y'all are always welcome. Always feel free to give us a call if there's something going on out there you think we need to know about.
Absolutely.
Let us know that. Well, thank you again. You've been listening to TNCRadio.live. This is Taillights.